Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to show you briefly how to set up the Java JDK because you're in an early programming class or you're learning Java for the first time and you want to set that up. Now, this is going to be on a Windows machine. This isn't a Mac OS demo or Linux demo. You could first check to see if Java is already installed, or you could just go get a new one. If Java is installed and if your shell can recognize it or find where that executable is, you can just type in Java into your shell here and you can see if there is a version. Like I have Java 13 installed here, right? But odds are you don't have it installed. It's possible that you don't have a version installed, so you're going to get an unrecognized command here. I'm going to leave that version installed and I'm just going to go ahead and get a newer version. When you're working with Java, you're going to run across lots of different nomenclature in terms of the versions. In general, you're going to hear things like Java SE. So SE stands for Standard Edition. There's also an EE and ME, I believe, which is Enterprise Edition and maybe a Micro or Mobile Edition. So we're talking about the Java Standard Edition here if you're doing like an early programming course. And then even within that, you're going to get divisions. You're going to hear about the JDK and you're going to hear about the JRE. And basically the difference between those is the JDK is the Java Development Kit, where if you want to write your own Java programs, you're going to need that. That's for developers. And the JRE is the Java Runtime Environment. And basically, it's like the bare minimum needed to run Java programs. So we're going to just go to the internet here, and we're going to type Java SE, and we're going to look for a download. So right up here, right at Oracle, this is going to bring us probably to the latest edition here. So I'm seeing Java 14 here, and I specifically want the JDK. So this screen may look different in years later if anybody watches this video, but in general, those are the keywords you're looking for: the Java SE and the Java JDK. So for example, when I did this about even a year ago, I believe this screen looked completely different with Java 13. So I'm going to download the JDK here. You want to pick the version that's specific to your system. Know where you're downloading this stuff to. That's something I constantly tell students. I know some of you are not familiar with your file system or where files are, but try to get a little more acclimated with that. So once that's downloaded, you want to go ahead and install it. However you get access to the file, double click on it or whatever. Know where you are installing it to. That's pretty important because later you're going to reference it when you set up your path variable on Windows, or maybe from an IDE, you want to know which Java version that it's wrapping or referencing. You should have an idea of the full path here of where this JDK is being installed. All right, so if you hit next steps, that's, I believe, going to take you to the web and some options and documentation, which you definitely should start reading if this is the first time that you used a Java JDK. And I'm going to pop open a command shell again, and I'm going to check to see if my newest version is the one that is installed. And here you can see it's not, right? So there's one more thing that we really have to do here on the Windows side, which is to set up our path variable so that our command line system here, our command system is using the version that we want it to use. Okay, so I am going to go, you can edit that many ways. You could type environment variables here. You can see edit system environment variables. If you have a PC icon on your window, this PC, you can go to like properties and then advanced settings. I'm just going to do environment variables here. We're going to pop this up. You can also change this right from the shell, and that's how we used to change it previously. But this is a little bit more intuitive, I think, for many students. You're going to see these are variables, environment variables for the user that's logged in, and then these are system environment variables. We are most interested in this path variable here. We'll hit edit. All right, and you can see these are paths to different directories where applications or commands are available so that the command line system can access them and other systems in Windows. So you can see that our JDK 14 is not here, right? So we want to add that. Again, we got to know where that was installed, right? So that's why I've kind of kept this handy here. I'm gonna copy this path here. You could have also typed it out. I'm gonna go ahead and add a new path here. All right. /bin. So we specifically want the bin directory because that's going to have all our executables here that are installed with Java. You can see there's a lot of them that come with it. And then I'm going to move this up because there's a preference here, right? So, or precedence. Now if I open up my shell, I should see that my current version is 14 here. All right, we can test to make sure that the compiler's working properly. Pop up some kind of, you guys, when you're starting programming, just know that you're probably going to use an IDE, but if you do just make a text file, make sure it is a raw plain text file. Don't use, Microsoft Word or some rich text editor, WordPad or something like that. All right, so I'm just going to make a simple class here called main, and put the main function in there, and then do a basic print line for a HelloWorld type program here. Okay, I'm going to save that. I'm going to know exactly where we're going to save it. So for me, I'm going to save that right to my desktop just for the sake of this example. Make it a .java file there. So there is my file, right? If I navigate in my shell here, just kind of a whole other topic, like how to use your shell to navigate through your file system. There's many tutorials on that. You need some basic DOS commands on the Windows side. So I'm going to path into my desktop, which is part of my user directory here, right? I could type dir to see all the things that are in this particular directory, which there isn't much on my desktop, but you can see the main.java is there. Java is for running a Java program. Javac is the Java compiler. Java compiler, compile main.java, this file that's in the same directory. You can see it created a class file here, named the same as the Java file, but this is a class file. This is a compiled bytecode file that's machine independent. So the popular thing about Java, it used to come with the tag phrase write once, run anywhere, which meant you could write a program, you could compile it down to this intermediate bytecode, and then you could run that bytecode on any system without having to recompile the source code. So now that I have this Java program in the intermediate bytecode language, right, I'm going to go ahead and run that. Remember, Java is to run. I'm going to call it the name of the main class that has the main function in it started. And there you go. You can see that we have our printout from the HelloWorld program. So that's just like a little demo to show you how to set up the Java JDK and to test it with your shell, even setting your path environment on the Windows side.